So after the soon-to-open Rise of the Resistance attraction debuts at Walt Disney World on December 5th and at Disneyland on January 17th, much of the attention is going to turn towards the Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser experience. However, for today we're going to dive in and give our final construction look at this highly anticipated hotel project. So let's dive into all of that up next. This video is sponsored by Mickey Travels, a platinum level authorized Disney vacation planner which can take the hassle out of all of your vacation planning. So visit the link in the description box to get your free quote today. Hi there Waltoners, I'm Jack and this is of course DSNY Newscast, and you know what, for today we've got quite a lot of construction updates around Walt Disney World. So let's just get straight into it. Now when this project was first linked through a guest survey in early 2017, the very prospect of an ultra-immersive hotel was something that we'd never even conceptualized before, and thus many were left perplexed at just how an experience like this would actually function, or let alone what it would look like. But since then, Disney has slowly revealed more and more details and given us concept art that better illustrates what we can expect from what is now officially titled the Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser. As essentially this will be pioneering a whole new era of themed entertainment for Disney, making huge strides into the live-action role-playing field, as you'll be encouraged to fully participate by creating a backstory, wearing the appropriate attire, and basically suspending your reality for 2 days and 2 nights to immerse yourself within the world of Star Wars. And if you want to know more about what can be expected from this experience, I'll leave a link in the description box to a video I did all about this at the end of August. But for today, as promised, we've got our final look at the construction of the Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser, courtesy of BioReconstruct over on Twitter, who's posted these incredible aerial construction images of the current state of the project. And the first thing to note is probably the most important in understanding why this will be my final standalone construction update on this Star Wars hotel, as you can see that much of the exterior work is nearing completion. Now that doesn't mean to say that I won't be doing more updates on this Galactic Starcruiser experience, as of course when we learn more details about the operations, the pricing and the immersive storytelling activities, I'll be sure to go in and do deep dives and explain all of that in great detail. But when it comes to the exterior of this project, what you see now is pretty much what you'll get, as not much more will change to the outside beyond landscaping, some infrastructure work, and the enclosure of the existing structure that is currently in place, with all the big exciting changes to take place inside, which unfortunately will mean that we won't be able to track that progress. And the reason why is because this is not just another Disney hotel project with the traditional outward theming, but instead a completely new type of offering, where there will be no physical windows to the outside world, as instead the windows of each cabin, and for that matter throughout the entire Starcruiser, will all have stunning views out into the vista of space, achieved through the use of wraparound digital projection screens that will be set back from the actual glass partitioning window, to create a sense of depth, but without any gaps or seams that would then break the illusion. And then we come to the second factor, and that is that this 2-day experience on board the Starcruiser is not a standard hotel setup either, where you would ordinarily be able to wander freely outside and around the property, but instead it should be thought of as sort of a Disney cruise ship on land. As similar to a cruise, once you board, you'll remain within the space of the Starcruiser building until the end of a stay, or any of the planned excursions down to the planet of Batuu, which will all maintain the illusion of being in space for 2 days and 2 nights. And so it's for all of these reasons that Disney will not be unnecessarily theming the outside of this building beyond the entrance porte cochere, as everything else you can see here will only be visible from the backstage area, and will remain as its current uncoloured concrete, or perhaps will receive a coat of go-away green paint similar to that of a Space 220 restaurant over at Epcot, which in many ways is the forerunner to the premise behind the hotel's digital window technology. So with all of that being said, considering that this will be my last update on the actual construction of the building itself, let's explain what we're looking at, as now most of it is in place. So first of all, this is the main road that guests will use to drive up to the entrance under this porte cochere, and then unload and go check in whilst their car is then valet parked on site. And as can be seen here within this concept art, the only part of the outside exterior that guests will be able to see is this themed entrance area, as the main bulk of the building will be heavily obscured from guest sightline through extensive tree cover in this area and around the sides of the building as well. For those of you wondering, because of a bend in this backstage access road, it means that even when guests are approaching the entrance, they still won't be able to see the main building, thus keeping the storytelling intact. And speaking of the storytelling, it's probably completely unintentional, but all of the tree cover around the entrance, in my opinion, is suitably reminiscent of the forest moon of Endor, which is just a nice little touch of that Star Wars theming, which is probably just a happy coincidence, but still a great touch nevertheless. But then we come to probably the most intriguing part of the hotel from an aerial construction perspective, and that's the location of the dispatch point for the themed transportation service that will simulate descending down to the planet of Batuu, as we can see that it will be within this section here that has only just begun construction. And when compared to this permit overview layout, you can see that the transport hall, courtyard and dispatch gangway are still yet to be completed, but as has been the case with the rest of the project, it will be fully enclosed before any interesting theming elements are to be implemented. However, that does nicely segue us to the possible locations within Star Wars Galaxy's Edge that might be used for the corresponding arrival point for these themed excursions to the planet of Batuu. And there's only really one viable option, and that is this section here between the Millennium Falcon and Rise of the Resistance attraction show buildings. That will most likely be where the drop-off point will be, as it would provide the most direct access route to the land. Although there is also a small possibility that it could be over here in this section. However, because this is the location that was originally proposed for the sit-down table service restaurant, this area here is probably being saved for some form of future expansion, whereas the location between the two show buildings has enough room for a themed transportation building which would have a similar gangway and perhaps even an arrival terminal which is manned by the First Order and would be kind of reminiscent of this scene from Solo, a Star Wars story. But now coming back to the actual Galactic Starcruiser itself, you can see in this overview that we shouldn't expect many big developments on the construction side of things, as much of the infrastructure is now in place. However, I would strongly encourage following BioReconstruct on Twitter for regular updates in the future, as Disney puts the final touches on the outside of this fully enclosed building, with all of the exciting work yet to begin on the inside. However, sticking with this hotel theme, I just want to very quickly mention that the land clearing has now begun for the new DVC resort Reflections, a lakeside lodge, which is being built partly in the location of the old River Country water park, which you can see is this area over here. But its overall footprint will be much larger than that of River Country. Now, the premise behind this DVC resort is that it's inspired by nature, whilst using some relevant Disney characters that are intrinsically linked with nature, such as Pocahontas and Bambi. And there will also be a waterfront restaurant that will be inspired by The Princess and the Frog as well, which on paper is a nice idea, but personally I feel it would be better suited to the French Quarter over at Port Orleans. But either way, we'll be sure to keep track of the progress of this as it begins to take shape. And then lastly for today, we have a couple of in-park developments that aren't big enough to require their own separate video, but they do deserve a mention. As first of all, over at Tomorrowland in the Magic Kingdom, the exterior track for the Tron Light Cycle Run roller coaster has been put into place, with this pretty much being the whole track installation now fully complete. However, the next big stage of development will be more noteworthy, as it will be the construction of the iconic canopy, as we'd always knew that we'd be getting the exact same ride system from Shanghai, but it will be interesting to see if any changes are made to the design of the canopy to better complement the surroundings of Space Mountain and the rest of Tomorrowland. And then over at Disney's Hollywood Studios, the old opening day studio archway that was used to promote the park's relationship with MGM has now received not only a new colour scheme, but also the new logo for Disney's Hollywood Studios that debuted earlier this year. And of course, it's the clean version of the logo without the use of characters, as despite the character logo being used in the concept art, the purpose of the character-centric logo was always intended for digital media marketing campaigns instead. And so it's no great surprise that a cleaner design has been used for this archway that really doesn't serve much of a purpose anymore. And I personally would prefer Disney just to remove it altogether, opening up the guest flow into the animation courtyard. But now, as always, it's over to you, Walton, as I would like to know if you could create your very own version of an ultra-immersive hotel experience at any Disney park around the world, a bit like the Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser. Then what would it be themed to, and also what would you name it to better illustrate what the experience is about? And really do go into some detail, as I would love to see what you would add to the experiences to make them ultra immersive. And of course, don't forget to put the timestamp for where the hidden Mickey appeared somewhere within this video, along with your suggestion or your comment, to be in with a chance to win one of these official Waltoneer DSNY Newscast enamel pins. And congratulations to this Waltoneer here for winning this suggestion from a previous video, where we're talking all about the Tower of Terror ride changes at Disneyland Paris. And so that's it for today, so be sure to go ahead and subscribe down below if you're new to this channel. Hit that notification icon so therefore you always receive an update whenever we release new videos, which are usually twice a week. And also, if you're excited for the Star Wars Hotel and enjoyed today's video on the construction of it, then be sure to give this video a massive thumbs up, as it really does help this channel out. And I've been Jack, you've been you, and I'll see you real soon.